camper's song. My friends, by the time you hear this devotion, I will be at camp for yet another year. Camp has always been a huge part of my life. The song that I just sang or oohed to you was a song that I learned when I went to church camp a long time ago. I began going to church camp in the summer of 1988. My first experience of church camp was not very positive. You see, my brother and sister had gone to the church camp that I ended up attending for years and years before I went. It was the same week that I went to scout camp just a few miles away. My dad and I had gone to scout camp together, and our camp ended just a few hours before theirs, and so we went over to the church camp to pick them up. And as I was leaving scout camp, I had, as a young scout, not really showered for a week, was pretty tired and pretty gross. And as I got into the site where church camp was, there were hundreds of kids, hugging, crying, and not wanting to leave. I just wanted to get home. Fast forward a year later, and my sister and brother convinced me to go to camp. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be at camp. I wanted to be at scout camp. So for the first few days, I moped around and I didn't do much. This camp was Epworth Among the Hills in Arcadia Valley, Missouri. At that camp, there are several unique and important places. One is a place that we affectionately called the Nabertacle. You see a picture of it here. It's the tabernacle, and this building is unique because it was used in the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, and then it was dismantled and moved to Arcadia Valley to be used at Epworth Among the Hills. It was a place where we had worship, where we had fun group events, and where we came in out of the rain when it was raining at camp. It was a place where our family groups met, and my faith was formed. Another important place at Epworth Among the Hills was Vesper Hill, one of my most favorite places on the whole planet. When the sun set over the hills in Arcadia Valley, it was a remarkable thing. God showed His grace and His beauty in a remarkable way in that moment and in that place. I could tell you stories and memories of how camp shaped and formed me and how this particular place had an impact on my call to ministry. It had many important factors and places, but the overall theme of what I learned in camp was the power and the importance of Christian community. It's where I learned how to be a follower of Jesus, how it is that I learned to love God, and how it is that I understood that I was loved for who I am. I didn't have to pretend. I didn't have to put on a mask. I was simply accepted and loved for where I was and how God was forming and shaping me into who I would be. I love camp, and I am so glad that we have a chance to have camp this coming week and the week that you hear this devotion. I want to read for you a brief passage from Ephesians chapter 4. It says, "As a prisoner of the Lord, then I urge you to live a life worthy of your calling in Christ. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body, one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all." Ephesians chapter 4 tells us about what a Christian community looks like, bearing with one another in love. We certainly do that at camp. But as my experience of camp formed and shaped me to who I am, it also helped me to understand what I wish and desire for the church to be. And I hope it is that we can do this too. That as people come into our doors, they don't have to wait for a mountaintop experience like camp, but they can come and feel the Spirit of God, that they can feel and understand who God is and what God is doing in their life, that they're at a place where they can be accepted, loved, and developed into the people that God desires and wants for them to be. My friends, I covet your prayers for us wrapping up camp these last few days and last few hours as you see this devotion. But I also covet your prayers for the church, that we may be a people that is formed and shaped by the grace of God, the one and the only, the one who is above all, in all, and is a part of it all. I thank you for your attention. I thank you for listening to this devotion, and I hope that you find something in these words that will begin to draw you closer to God, just as I am at camp this week, and also able to help you to draw others into his kingdom through the grace and the power of Jesus Christ. God bless you and have a great day.